It's so cynical. I mean, the pro-Israel activists stage a walkout at one point and then immediately go to the media and try to frame it as they were essentially kicked out of this meeting while people were chanting, I think, Allahu Akbar.
Oh, absolutely. Like there was like a whole like Megyn Kelly, Laura Ingraham, I mean, and this goes to show that like what, you know, like the real strength of this, one real strength of this and a common thread that the documentary spends a lot of time on is how this like one real facet of the lobby is really just about the media. Like it's really not even about like trying to massage like or do the work of like, you know, like trying to persuade politicians of anything. It's all just about like, you know, like feeding, I mean, at least in this stage is just like the right-wing media machine, like Fox News and so on. Yeah. But also the cable networks as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, they straight up say like, you know, no, we're doing astroturfing. I mean, they just call it that. They're just like, oh, and then he's like, I mean, I loved that when the undercover journalist was like, wait, what is that? What is astroturfing? And they're just like, oh, it's fake protests.
Yeah.
I mean, at one point he goes on a bus to a fake protest, but that it's like in the last episode. I mean, one of the things that's also that this documentary sort of illustrates is that like that there is sort of this like very broad constellation of pro-Israel groups, all of these like different names and figures that sort of like, you know, like they sprawl out pretty far. And, you know, one of the things that I thought was kind of wild was about how when you take the other ways instead of just like organizing like, you know, those walkouts or whatever, but they were also like conducting active surveillance operations on student activists on social media and through like some frankly more insanely creepy and mortifying methods, which are still active and being used to this day.
Yeah, at one point, one of the I can't remember what organization it was, but someone who's with one of these organizations that's in the documentary essentially says that they have software that trawls through college students' social media posts and can find any pro-Palestine, anti-Israel post within hours of it being sent up. And what they do is they collect all of these posts and essentially create dossiers. And at one point, they're also very explicit, like, these dossiers will be used to bar these people from future employment. Like, we are collecting dirt.
And it's not even limited to, like, sentiment about Palestine or Israel. Like, they'll use, like, photos of people doing sexually explicit things, or they'll you know, insinuate rumors and start rumors about activists that to damage their reputation. I mean, it's, like, really scummy shit.
And these are like, this is all, by the way, directed at college kids. I mean, one story that doesn't like, so there's a character in the documentary who's brought up, whose name is Adam Milstein. Yes. And he's like a really great example of a kind of person in this world. So Milstein is a real estate mogul. In the documentary, somebody, Tony, the undercover reporter, asks somebody like, oh, who's Adam Milstein? And the guy responds, like he pauses for a beat and then he says, he's a convicted felon. Wait, that's not the best way to introduce him.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
And he like, and Milstein is, you know, he's fairly wealthy on his own, but he's not like Sheldon Adelson money. But Milstein was found later on, by student journalists at the University of California at UC Berkeley. Go Bears. They found that Milstein was routing money to student Senate campaigns at UCLA for the purpose of making sure that student candidates perceived as anti-Israel wouldn't get in. And Milstein is also known as one of the funders of Canary Mission. And he's also on the National Council of AIPAC, which is the most influential and, you know, sort of most sanitized Israel lobby that's out there.
So wait, you mentioned Canary Mission here. Give me a couple. Fuck, I'm so glad to be able to say this. Give me a couple squawks about the Canary Mission. What are we squawking about here? Beak up.
Did you just say beak up?
I said beak up. Yeah, I couldn't hear you. Beak up.
All right, just chirp down a minute.
Yeah. Yes.
So Canary Mission is like this thing that we're describing. It's like a giant database online. You can Google it and look it up and find it very easily. And the point of it is that, I mean, as you'll see, it's a giant roster assembled by the world's like biggest fucking creeps of just describing what a bunch of college kids did, going to like, you know, oh, this person was a member of SJP. This person is an associate of these other 10 people or whatever. Like true, like McCarthyite Red Scare bullshit. And it's meant at like they say in this movie that it's explicitly directed at trying to bar student activists from any future employment, to make sure that if they, you know, stood for justice in Palestine, that it's something that could be used against them for the rest of their lives. Like, that's the point of it. It's to be weaponized.
Yeah.